Hey MVPs, Rico Knows here. Going to talk to you guys about the win total for New Mexico State. Now, I know it's a team most people would ignore and no one gives a shit. But if you're an MVP and you know we bet on weekday games, we have to know the Conference USA. We just have to know all the teams in Conference USA. I'll be spending a absorbent amount of time looking at Conference USA over this week. I'll be digging into the crates, trying to figure out who they have on their team, who the players are, and how many games are they going to win, right? So let's talk about New Mexico State. Last year, I declared they were going to be a great team, and they were. A lot of it had to do with my belief in Diego Pavia. They won 10 games, lost 5. Losing, getting blown out to Liberty in the conference game doesn't change anything. Losing to Fresno State doesn't change anything. There's levels to this when you look at Group of 5 teams. Conference USA teams aren't very good, even Liberty included, okay? And then there's really good Conference USA teams, Group of 5 teams, kind of like the Mountain West or the American or the Elite of the Sun Belt. So, didn't surprise me at all. Seeing them lose to UMass, it was a terrible loss and not indicative of how their season was going to turn out because they really got the ball rolling at some point. Beating New Mexico, losing to Hawaii. This should have told us, fraud alert, they're not that good. But the teams in the Conference USA are even worse. They go out and they win all these other games. Terrible teams that couldn't score points. Beating La Tech by 3. Middle Tennessee by 6. They're just figuring out a way to win every single time. And then the anomaly of all anomalies, they blow out Auburn. Okay? Beat Jacksonville State. What an incredible win. But there's levels to this. So what happened to New Mexico State this offseason? Well, they lost everybody. Everybody hit the transfer portal and straight up bounced. They lost their coach. They lost their offensive coordinator. Everybody went to Vandy and other teams. And you're left with a cupboard, a cupboard that's pretty bare. Diego Pavia is gone. Blaze is gone. They both went. All 3 of these guys went to Vandy. So all 3 left for Vandy. That's crazy. All right. Star Thomas is gone. Pavia, yes, the team's leading rusher, 900 yards, gone. Monty Watkins is still here, and I'm going to talk about him at length when I get to the depth chart. Receivers, gone. There's literally nobody here. I mean, the first leading receiver back is Donovan, and it's scary. And we'll talk about the rest of it. Leading tackler, Kashawn Elliott, who I said was one of the best linebackers in the Group of 5, went to Arizona State. So he's gone. A bunch of the secondary dudes, gone. Everybody transferred. Everybody got up and out. And so what did they do? So New Mexico State goes and hires Tony Sanchez, a terrible head coach. The last time he was a head coach, he was terrible. So maybe he learned from his mistakes? I don't think so. Maybe he brought in other players? I don't think so. I think what he has right now is he's inheriting a pretty solid roster, if you will. Remember, Vegas has them at 4.5 wins. Are they going to win 4 or 5 games? They're somewhere around there, and they're really expecting them to be under 4 wins. So when you go and look at this team and you do your research on them, our lads just doesn't give a shit about this team either. Our lads' roster, or at least of their depth chart, is not up to date. It is not accurate. Like if you go to a Power 5 team, it's super accurate. It's up to date with all the latest information. You go to a Group of 5 team, bro, they don't even have a will linebacker. Like they're just missing him. They don't even have him in place. And then they got dudes like Miles Norwood down here in the starting lineup. Miles Norwood is not on this team anymore. I'm doing my research. I'm watching everything. I'm looking through everything, guys. Miles Norwood, I already evaluated him. He's at Ball State. He's in the rotation at Ball State, trying to make it on their defense. He transferred. He up and bounced, but they do have a better player, and we're going to go over that. So let me slow down a little bit. Let me talk about this, okay? Wide receiver room, very underwhelming, and I don't think it matters. I don't, because I don't really believe in Deuce Hogan, Parker Awad. These are JUCO guys. I don't even know them like that. Deuce Hogan coming in from Kentucky, don't even know him like that. And when I say I don't know him like that, that means, guys, I watched the tape. Nothing really popped out to me or stuck out to me. Nothing in this tape tells me that's an FBS level player. I don't even know what's going on here. We can adjust accordingly. If we have to, we can adjust accordingly. Tight ends, Alex Lynn's coming in. Congratulations. You found yourself a tight end. What do you want me to do with it? I have an issue with the way, and this is Sanchez and his staff, the way they do things. They go out and they recruit junior college. Because the last time he was a head coach, that's what you do. You go and get all the JUCO guys to come over, and that's how you address the issues. Even in the recruiting class, the majority of it is junior college guys. You just go get all the JUCO kids you can find. That's what he used to do when he was a head coach. That's what the recipe was for New Mexico and New Mexico State and Nevada. But you want to know why UNLV's so good? Because they're not doing this shit. Nobody's living by the JUCO. You're not. It's not a recipe for success, man. It just isn't. You stop getting all these used cars. If you want a used car, get it from a certified dealership. Get it from somewhere you can trust. Get it from a team that you know has good players. Use the transfer portal. For crying out loud, use the transfer portal. So, one thing they do have is they have a great offensive line. I need you guys to understand how good this offensive line is. Pete here, first team, all Conference USA. Like, he's that good. 6'8", 320, started last season. He protects the blind side. He's a stud. AJ, starter from last year, stud. Kanan, starter from like all these guys, the continuity's here. They didn't leave. They didn't jump in the portal and leave or nothing. These are the same dudes you know from last year. Then Jacob Golden and Cedric Claiborne. Jacob Golden, I believe, is a transfer from Boise State. And Cedric came over from, I got to check, man. Oh, Trinity Valley Community College. So another JUCO guy. So, but he's big. He's over 300 pounds. But the deal is like, I really like 4 out of 5 on the offensive line. Seriously. They look like they have a very good group of 5 offensive line. One of the better offensive lines in Conference USA, for sure. So they have an offensive line. Now, what are you going to do with it? I don't like your receivers. I don't like your quarterback room. Your running back room is elite. Elite for Conference USA. Very, very good. First and foremost, you have Monty Watkins back. Monty Watkins, don't just look at the stats. Don't just look at these stats where Monty Watkins averaged almost 10 yards a carry last year. When you watch the tape and you watch the games, Monty Watkins is a change of pace back that would come off the bench and just had enough burst to go. Little guy, but just burst. Boom. Burst. 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 You'd be like, yo, that dude just broke? He just broke for 80 yards? Star Thomas, slow as shit, a JUCO product. But Monty Watkins is special. And if you go back and watch film of Monty Watkins when he was in high school, he was the number 1 all-purpose back coming out of Texas. Number 1 all-purpose back coming out of Texas in high school. And then he signed with TCU. And then TCU promptly made him a defensive back. Now, after injuries, he actually got to play some running back at TCU, and then he hit the portal, and he ended up in New Mexico State. So what I'm trying to tell you guys is this is a special running back. Think of the TCU running backs last couple years. There's no shame in not starting over those guys. There's some amazing running backs at TCU the last 2 years, and Monty Watkins had to say, all right, I'm out. I'm bouncing. I'm going to New Mexico State. And here he is, and he's going to share time. Okay, because they also have Mike Washington. And don't believe this 2-star, 3-star. No. Mike Washington is a beast. Mike Washington, I thought he was going to go to UMass. Mike Washington is an absolute monster. I was talking to UMass's NIL guy, and they're like, yeah, they're asking for a bit too much money. I'm like, damn. How did New Mexico State find it? Because that's a good running back. It's an NFL caliber running. 6'2", 215. I don't know his stats, but I know last year it wasn't great. But if I show you Mike Washington running back, if I show you his stats 2 years ago, it's out of this world. Oh, there it is. 625 yards, 7 touchdowns. This right here, you got to go back and watch his game film from 2022. And this is why I am who I am, right? I do this, every single year. I look at every single player. I don't need to go off of last year's stats at Buffalo or none of that stuff. I can just tell you, I think he was in the doghouse or something. He wasn't getting any love. This is a good running back. And behind that offensive line, this is scary. This is going to be a great run game in New Mexico State. Monty is speed. Mike Washington is first downs. Power. They got that little lightning going on. Oh, by the way, Santonio Mauricio, he used to be a dual threat quarterback at Wake. That's a whole nother dude coming over. They got something here on the offense to get first downs. I think they're going to have an effective run game. And I think it's going to be problematic for other teams. Yep. Now, throwing the ball, I don't know about any of that. But when you start looking at rushing yards, I want you to look early on the prop bets early in the season. And we're going to take the over yards on Monty Watkins and Washington. Look for the prop bets Saturday morning. I promise. Those are good running backs. Like too good to be at New Mexico State type running backs. No shade. Defensively, Noah Rins did not move me on tape. Buddha did. Buddha really played great last year. He showed up to play. So those are your guys that are rushing. On the inside, Naki Fahina used to be a starting defensive tackle at UNLV 2 years ago. Then he got injured, missed the whole season, and last year he fell out of favor with the coaching staff or whatever, only played in 2 games, and then he's back in the portal again. So Naki Fahina, starting caliber FBS level player. Been around for a long time. Gabe Jones doesn't move me on tape. I've seen he's made 1 tackle in his whole life. Redshirt freshman, no shade. Just going to take some time to get on my radar, if you will. When I start evaluating players, it's like, I'm cool with Sony here. Played good, but remember, all the linebackers were just okay in comparison to Krishan Elliott. So I'm hesitant to say that they're good. They're here. And if Tyler Martinez is going to be in the starting lineup, he's got potential. I think he's a former JUCO guy. These are all kind of okay guys. Glinton is a good corner. I think he's good. Most of the secondary's gone, but Glinton's decent. He's not bad. Don't see anything wrong with him on tape. And it's not going to be Miles Norwood at this corner spot. Like I told you, Miles Norwood is a Iowa State transfer. He's gone. So he went up. He's playing at Ball State. But the other guy is Crosby, right? Oh, man. Let me see here. DeMarcus Crosby. And I did a video on DeMarcus Crosby already when I told everybody he was one of my hidden gems in the transfer portal. I didn't know he was going to New Mexico State. I did a video on him, I think, before he went to New Mexico State. Complete stud. 4 interceptions last year. The corners at Sam Houston are very good. Their secondary's been great for a while. I'm telling you, DeMarcus Crosby's very good. I kid you not. And I think he's a JUCO kid. Oh, that might be news to me. Let me double check that. Did he go to Trinity Valley? Came out of Houston. Load more. Yeah, it doesn't matter. There's going to be too many entries. It doesn't matter. The kid is great, man. He looks great on tape. Finds the ball. I love everything about DeMarcus Crosby. I think he's a good football player. Great size, 6'2", 195. Look at that. It says safety, but he's now a corner. I think New Mexico State found themselves a stud in the secondary in the corner spot. And then their safeties are pretty legit. Josiah Cox coming in, Nick Sessions coming in. These are big school guys. These are Power 4 guys coming in, transfers from Power 4 schools. Hatfield just hit the portal, just showed up. He'll be added depth, but I think Crosby's a starter. So all in all, we're going to get to know these players intimately. That's why I'm making this video. I am not making this video to say Vegas is completely wrong or anything of that nature, because I have them on the under no matter what. So I have them beating Southeast Missouri. They're going to beat the FCS opponent, losing to Liberty, losing to Fresno State. I have to double check whether or not they compare to Sam Houston. I haven't finished Sam Houston. It's a little later in the alphabet. I'm currently who am I on? I'm currently on Miami of Ohio. So I'm in the M's. I'm almost halfway through the defenses. So we got some more work to do. New Mexico, even without looking at New Mexico, I know New Mexico State's better. So that's there. So I'm looking at 1 win, 2 wins, 2 weeks to prepare. It doesn't matter. 3 wins. I think they're better than Louisiana Tech. That's 3. Don't think they're better than FIU. I don't know about Western Kentucky. I'd assume they're not, but I don't know. I got to double check. And then you have a senior quarterback at MTSU. We got to believe in Nick V at that point, right? So I got to double check MTSU's defense. That's coming up in the next day. So it'll be one of those things, but I don't like them against UTEP either. So either way, I think they're less than 5 wins. So I think they're on the under. Vegas has the under at -154. It's not a shock, but I would feel comfortable 3 units. Another thing, they have good players. They have good pieces, but I don't believe in Tony Sanchez as a coach. So when you have good pieces and I give you a certain rating, that's cool and all. That's me evaluating the players. But when you apply those ratings to scheme, to coaching, and to matchups, it just doesn't move me like that. So I'm on the under. One thing that I take pride in is knowing these players, because I want to very seriously get the prop bets right, all right? I want to know if they're going to get that many rushing yards or that many first downs, or maybe bet the under if their defense is good enough to stop a certain offense. So that's why it matters when you go in there and dissect each position group. But I'm not going to pull up the whole chart for you guys. I'm making this video free. Shout out to all the MVPs out there. If you didn't know, if you're not an MVP and you only watch the free videos, just know that I go really in depth on every single team, and I provide as much information as possible and getting you prepared for gambling against the spread every single day, every single weekday game, and then obviously on the weekends. The chart is already made for week 0 and week 1. I'm just refining the chart. Today I made 2 new additions, subtracted 2 teams. Like, that's just what's going to happen over time, and then we'll get there. But shout out to all the MVPs. I hope you guys are ready to make a ton of money, and we need to know the Conference USA if we plan to win and maximize our profits throughout the season. Conference USA, Mac Action Football, they're going to make us a killing because we're going to learn them better than Vegas. All right? Your friends don't know, but Rico knows. Peace, y'all.